After the very frightening situation we had with Renska a little while ago, it's prompted me to bring forward a campaign that I've been thinking about for quite some time. I just want to start with a little bit of background, as I usually do. Now, wherever you turn on this outstandingly beautiful and very historic farm, there's work to be done. Not just to maintain it, but in many instances to rebuild it. Tamara and I often joke that on our headstones will be written, "I just need to," as it's the most common phrase that we both use on a far too regular basis. Now, I've had Friesian horses here for nearly 2 decades and have always wanted to put their health and happiness first. By refusing to use them in the traditional commercial manner that's long been seen as normal in many areas of the equestrian world, it's meant that I've had to be creative at finding ways they could help generate an income to support their care without it being detrimental to their well-being. It's possibly because of these values that the first 3 horses were abandoned with me, as I suspect their owners knew that I would always do my best for them. I've talked about it before, so won't cover it all again, but in short, I came onto this farm knowing that traditional farming wasn't a viable option. I chose a completely different path, a diversification into something that I knew I had an unwavering passion for. We've survived all these years through sheer hard work, determination, creativity, belief in what we do, and the support of a community who carries those same beliefs. It's been a really interesting journey, and I've met the most amazing people who've had experiences with the horses here that they themselves have said are priceless and in a number of instances life-changing. As you know, my heart always rules my head, and in many instances what the horses have brought to my life and thousands of visitors over this time is far more valuable to me than money in the bank. But the reality is that without the money to carry out all the work that needs to be done, the future of the sanctuary is put in jeopardy. Tamara lays awake at night worrying about finding the funds to repaint this iconic 17th century farmhouse, to repair some of the leaks, to redecorate, to generate enough income from the farmhouse rentals to convince a bank that we would be able to repay a mortgage, to rebuild the shippen so that we can move out of the static caravan, where we could then house volunteers to come and help on the farm and have unique experiences themselves. I lay awake at night for a whole set of other reasons. Life in the static is fine in the drier months, but on the whole, it does make life unnecessarily harder than it should be. And quite frankly, it's affecting our health. And if we cannot stay well ourselves, again, it puts everything in jeopardy. Finding a way for a small farm to survive in the current climate is not easy, especially when horses are involved. But I'm not going to get into that topic today. My primary concern is always the horses' welfare and how to go about creating the facilities that they deserve that in turn will help us look after them more efficiently, but also enable us to share them with physical and virtual visitors throughout the year. I constantly worry about the older generation, who I desperately want to lead as comfortable a life as possible in their retirement. I've struggled with guilt over the years that by doing what I've chosen to do, I've held back progress to restore this historic property. I'm getting over that now, thanks primarily to the support and encouragement of so many of our supporters around the world. And I'm as driven as I've ever been to find the funds necessary not only to build the dream for the horses, but to renovate all the areas that are falling apart on this farm. With the help of one of our wonderful guardian angels, Tara Cone, we're in a position to now put the horses' dreams on paper and to create some visuals and plans that we'll be able to put forward for planning in time. And it will take time. I'm so excited that we've now got a date. We've got a date from Jill Shriver and Richard McGonigal, who've got my initial sketches now and my thoughts, and our first planning meeting is going to take place on the 18th of April. I'll obviously keep you all posted on the progress, because again, if we're going to turn those dreams, those visuals, into a reality, we're going to need to do some serious fundraising. But I guess that brings me on to the here and now. And whilst those plans are taking place, I'm very conscious that we need to look at what we can do to improve the buildings that we already have here, to give them a purpose and stability so that they can stand for a further 500 years, if not more. We have one main barn that has 3 large stables that all the horses want to be in. It's an incredibly welcoming space. In so many ways, it's the beating heart of the farm. The energy that radiates from that area fuels everyone and anyone who comes into contact with it. It's why the horses love it. You know, they all want to be in there because they love to feel involved. They love to feel part of the family and close to where everything happens. Equally, we like to keep the horses out as much as possible, as it is the healthiest way for them to live. However, when a horse is injured, or they're recovering, or simply need to rest, we need spaces to have them inside. This winter, the plan was to primarily have the oldies in at night on a rotation. Hoitzer, Hidda, 22 this year, Wren, 19. They get tired, as does Hunnis, who spent last year battling that rare form of cancer. The oldies can suffer with their arthritis, particularly in the colder, wetter months, and whilst they need a place to sleep and rest, they also need to be moving. And Hoitzer's a classic example. This winter really hasn't been kind. The weather has been probably the wettest I can recall, and we've had a number of unexpected injuries, from Mabel's fractured foot to Bear's extremely unusual complications with bone cysts, DSLD, degenerative suspensory ligament desmitis. Nero obviously joined the family back in November when we were at capacity, but we couldn't see him suffer. And although we'd hoped that he'd be able to winter out with the other boys once we managed his pain, it wasn't an option this year, and so he's needed a stable all winter. It was too short notice to do anything before this winter. Equally, putting temporary stables up is not as straightforward and easy as it would be in many places. Amongst the many things to take into account are the fact that we're in the Lake District National Park on a Grade 2 listed farm. The fact the farm is built into rock, which makes running services to new areas more challenging than in other locations. And the fact that anything temporary is unlikely to stand up to the weather. So if we're going to invest in anything, or indeed ask anyone else to, it needs to be done properly so that it can stand the test of time. Whatever we do now has to be done in a way that it can secure the sanctuary for generations to come. So there are a number of projects that I'm on a mission to get started this year. You may remember a few months ago I had a bit of a rant about government grants and bureaucracy that, quite frankly, have badly let down our family and this farm that we're simply caretakers of for the last 20 years. if not more. I lost faith in getting any support for this farm from the establishment a long time ago, after seeing firsthand the stress and disappointment that it was causing. Tamara will continue to pursue other government-backed grants, but I personally don't have the patience to rely on them or wait until someone in an office can make that decision as to whether we've ticked the right boxes or the application has been worded in the right way to meet their criteria. For me, there has to be another way, and to date, my experience tells me to keep my faith in people. Everyday people who have the same beliefs, values and morals as we do here. Thanks to these horses, we've built a community, a family around us of the kindest, most supportive human beings who have a true empathy and understanding of our mission. And it's to all of you that we always direct our energies and give back to you in any way that we can through experiences here or online by sharing ours and the horses' lives with you. Going back to the grants we applied for, grants that were aimed at supporting the rural economy, one was to help us rebuild a derelict stable into a versatile space. This would have come with two benefits. Not only would it have provided shelter and a space sympathetic to the needs of the older horses during the winter months, but also as another unique space for visitors to come and spend time connecting with the horses and the sheep and with nature during the summer months. What could be better than this in a world where providing those opportunities for people to be at one with nature are becoming harder to find? This in turn would help raise an income to support the work needed to restore the farm. So this is the stable. It lost its roof and much of the walls during a bad storm, as the previous repairs carried out to the roof were not done to last. It's another example of why temporary structures wouldn't work here. This whole area has been Hoytz's bedroom for many years, one which he happily shared with the love of his life, Femma, until she passed away peacefully up on the hill. He now shares it with Jubbers, and occasionally we will have some of the other horses in here. The second project is a building we used as a stable many years ago and subsequently as a mini gallery gift shop space, and it was a waiting area for guests coming along. That was until the roof deteriorated that much that it became unsafe. Now, if we can at least re-roof it, we can use this over winter. There's 1,000,001 things that we need to raise funds for here, and the chances are this won't be the only campaign we have running this year. But this is our most ambitious to date. So today I'm launching a campaign to raise £100,000. Yep, £100,000. And I want you to be part of it. Renovating this building is the starting point, and I'd like to give you the opportunity to mark your place in history. We know not everyone is in a position to help financially, and that's absolutely fine. We will still continue to share our journey online with everyone for no charge at all. Those, however, in a position to help financially will have the opportunity to have their names engraved into the stonework of the barn that will stand for hundreds of years. The full details of this are listed on the campaign website. With your support, we can make this happen. We can get these areas renovated, run water and electric, have the turnout area drained and resurfaced, have it refenced. We can have the old gallery re-roofed so that we can head into next winter knowing that we've got more options of shelter for the older generation and any others in need. So please, can I ask you to head over to the campaign page today to find out how you can leave your own mark on this historic property and help on the road to securing the future of the sanctuary and this historic farm for years to come. Thank you for listening. Thank you for every comment, every like, every view, every share, and everything that you do to support this wonderful venture.